Hey everybody, it's Mark again from Breeze Automotive. Wanted to take a few minutes and tell you about our Breeze QA1 externally adjustable shocks for the Factory 5 Roadster. You're looking at them right now. This is the single external adjustable shock, and wanted to show you on the front where it's mounted upside down. That's your adjusting knob. I'll get a little focus here. And so it's a simple matter to just reach in and change your damping. All counterclockwise is less dampening, and fully clockwise is the most dampening. And it goes from 1 to 17 or 18 positions. So this one shock can handle a wide variety of spring rates. On the front of our car we have 450-pound springs. Standard we have 450s and 500s. So 500s on the front would match the Factory 5 offering. Many people think that's a bit stiff, so we decided to offer a 450 as standard as well. And we can go softer, but on the shelf we're keeping 500s and 450s. The reason that to make this work on the Factory 5 is that I'm going to take you around to the back shocks to show you the parts we invented to make it fit on the Factory 5 car. And that has to do with how we make our upper attachment point. So what we have here is the cone. And then here's the Breeze part, and that's a stainless steel, 4/16 stainless, what I call combination jam nut. So the sequence of assembly is you take your shock, you put the spring over you put the seats on down here on the bottom, the threaded seat and the jam nut. Then you put and this thing's at full droop right now, this is your little thrust washer with a little anti-seize underneath it. Then your spring, and then you can put your cone on top. And then you put the combination jam nut in, and the combination jam nut in threads down onto the shock shaft. But we still can hold on to it up here because we put a flat on the top side. In other words, it's above the cone. So it's not like just having a standard hex nut which would normally go below the cone. So your hex nut goes on, and that's the stopper for the cone going up. And then you still have the shaft of the shock sticking through the center. And that's where you thread on your rod end. In this case we use a greasable rod end. We use some seals-it washers to hold some grease in there. And then we have stainless steel shock spacers here to space the shock properly for whichever application you have. So it's a standard shock from QA1, and we make it work on the Factory 5 really well by our innovative combination jam nut. What that does is that allows you to not have to fight getting the cone in after this is all on. So you don't have to try to compress the spring in order to install your cone. That's a typical problem you run into when installing coilover shocks. In the case of a solid axle 3-link rear, you're installing the shocks in a traditional vertical upright position. So I'm just showing you the lower mount and the adjustment knob. Also fairly easy to access without any tools and without even jacking up the car. If you're willing to lie down on the ground, you can adjust your shocks. Aluminum body shock, nice and light. The springs are fairly heavy, so in the end they end up about the same weight as the conies from Factory 5, but with your external adjustability at a sensible price. If you have any questions, give us a call at Breeze Automotive. Thanks for listening.